Hey baby, would you maybe have some love for me? Roll it up. Hey baby, would you maybe have some love for me?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Mr. Caldero from Watch the Pot YouTube, Watch the Podcast YouTube. And this is Stovetop Movie Review. Here I have my co-host, John. How's it going, John?
I'm doing well.
We're here to be critiques and to be jerks and to maybe praise some movies. But this is at a disclosed location over here at Stovetop Studios. We can't let you know where it is. It's just FBI stuff, CIA information here. We got a lot of stuff going on over here. So, John, is there any recent movies that you watch on Netflix, or just before we get to the nitty gritty of what we plan to talk about, is there anything Netflix or movie you saw that you haven't seen that doesn't have to do with the topics that we plan to talk about?
I saw this Netflix movie on the killer whales called Blackfish. I think it was popular a few years ago. Blackfish.
How's that?
And it was a documentary, so it wasn't necessarily a movie where it had a beginning, a plot, and an ending. But the way that they did it was a very movie storyline type of situation. It was well done, and of course, as with all documentaries, it was biased on the side of the people who made it to get their message across, saying that SeaWorld is a bunch of crooks and they just base their business on just getting anything.
Oh, wow. So it angled towards a negative response towards SeaWorld, kind of treating the whales or whatever very badly or mistreating them.
Oh yeah, they showed how they killed the trainers, and then they would always do something to cover it up, that it was an accident, that the
whale
would kill a trainer, and it was
but
always...
Why would that come up? Not to be a spoiler alert, but hey, whatever, it's a documentary.
Well, the thing is, you always hear in the news, there was a whale accident. There was a whale accident.
They never actually say what happened.
Right, and actually, when you look at the way that it was portrayed and they talk about the behaviors of the whales, there are no whale accidents. It's actually a whale murder. So, but they don't treat it that way. The whale you see that they're very intelligent creatures, and when something bad happens like that, it's with an intent to kill. So that when they're really hurting these people, it's with an intent to kill. And it's because they're in such poor conditions. And
it's because they're being treated wrong and they know it, and they kind of lash out on maybe one or two trainers that are there.
Exactly.
It's kind of the overall how they're being treated, so they take it out on whoever I could take it out on.
Right.
We're gonna take it out. We're gonna take it out on.
Pretty much. But yeah, the movie itself was very well done. It had a lot of different film styles because it was a compilation of a lot of clips. So
it wasn't just one incident. It was kind of like
it was multiple.
A lot of different.
And a lot of times they had to splice together pieces of newsreel, so they kept that film grain of newsreel. They didn't to get the feeling of that you were actually in the moment and you were witnessing the news events yourself. Because the video has a different feel to it than the film video, but it was well shot, and they covered a lot of things in it. But overall, you do get a sense that when you walk away from it, that it is a very negative connotation towards SeaWorld, and the fact that a lot of people have been played just by SeaWorld itself as a corporation.
Yeah, and that's something that I imagine they would really want to cover up, layer on top of layer, because SeaWorld is for kids and such a family-oriented thing that it's just like, we can't let this out. And I imagine that the documentary is having backlash from SeaWorld in some way, no?
Well, in the last few years, if you've noticed on television, they have been running pro-SeaWorld commercials, and just recently it came out in their annual report that the movie itself, Blackfish, had a very high negative influence on their earnings in the last 3 years since it's come out. They've lost lots of money.
Been out for 3 years. See,
Yeah.
I'm late. I'm very late with this.
It's a CNN documentary.
Okay,
So
cool.
it's been sponsored by the people at CNN. So, but overall, just in terms of the movie, the way it flowed, it was very riveting. It's something that it's not necessarily a topic that you stand around and you think, oh, okay, well, you know, there's something of a conspiracy theory going on with this or that. It's something that doesn't affect you in a day-to-day basis. When you watch it, you feel compelled by the trainers who a lot of them...
When they put it all together,
Yeah.
it pulls at your heartstrings a little bit.
Yeah, and the trainers had no sense that they were actually doing something wrong to the animals. But then when they said they looked back and looked at it, and they were taught how to control the animals in a very negative way, they realized that they've been duped, which is just, you know, just the worst thing. And so the film itself is from the eyes of these 5 or 6 trainers that actually went through the process and were interviewing and
I
talking
probably
about
have to see the movie to get it, but I'm wondering how they got these clips. You know, like the clips that show negative things.
Well,
Because I'm assuming that that's something they want to keep under wraps.
A lot of the clips look like family and home videos, which back in the day,
You didn't have cell phone cameras in high HD.
Oh, okay, that's
So,
right.
so you had like these shoulder cams and stuff that people had. Back in the 90s, people had to carry these larger boxes around. And also a lot of it was newsreel footage. So that's how they got a lot of the clips of those things going on. And SeaWorld itself actually videotaped every single show. They videotape it, not only for, you know, for insurance purposes, but for security purposes. They videotape it so they know exactly what's going on. So the fact that they videotape every single incident that goes on shows even further that they know things could have gone wrong, and they're just trying to cover it up. So
Wow. Well, check that out, people. That's just something off of Netflix that you should probably check out. I should probably check out. I can't really think of anything I saw on Netflix. I kind of rewatched World's Greatest Dad with Robin Williams.
okay,
And since you haven't seen it, I'm not going to go too deep into it, but it's a very well done movie. And I don't know what year it came out, but it's a great movie. So this episode is dedicated to Robin Williams. We both gave each other assignments, and we'll get into that later. They're both Robin Williams movies. Keep that in mind. But let me explain the rating system. This is Stovetop album review, right? Okay.
Right.
So Stovetop, let's say the review is off, meaning I never want to see this movie again. It's horrible. Low is, it was okay. It was watchable. Medium is, it was a good movie. It just wasn't a great movie. And high obviously means you're deeming this a classic movie as far as you could push it. You know, so I want to ask you, what do you think of that? What is it called? Blackfish?
Blackfish.
Blackfish. If you was to rate that, what would you give it?
I would rate that a medium,
A medium?
because it's definitely a movie that has, well, first of all, the topic itself that they brought up, the issue itself surrounding the movie, is a good conversation piece to talk
Good,
about.
yeah, good thing to know
right.
when you're, having
Right.
conversations.
Exactly. It betters yourself to understand, like, this is the world we live in, and these are things that happen in the world, and these are some things that people are trying to make aware of. And the movie itself, the way it's portrayed, I like documentaries personally because they always have something to say. Some documentaries are poorly made in that they're too biased to the one side, they don't reveal the whole truth to it, or they lean too much on speculation. I'm not going to say which documentaries are like that, downplay other people's work right now, but as far as Blackfish itself, I think it stands on its own. It's well put together.
It's memorable.
It's
a lot of
definitely
documentaries are probably not so memorable.
That's true. That's true. And it's definitely a movie that I would suggest to someone else and say, hey, this is not a waste of an hour and a half. You'll definitely be a better person for watching it. It's something that you can add to your watching and rewatching repertoire.
Cool. So, as far as what I said, I'm not going to get into the movie because you haven't seen it.
That's right.
But World's Greatest Dad, I give it a medium. If there was a medium too high, kind of in between that, I'll give it that. But no, we have to be strict with our rules here. Medium, I give it a medium. It's a great movie. I'd watch it a couple more times, but it's not like, high is a very prestigious ranking here at Stovetop Studios. So just keep in mind, when we give something a low or off, just keep in mind there's only 4 options here. It's not 5 stars. It's 4-star ratings. It's only 4 options.
High is our
High
Oscars.
is, yeah,
Basically,
that's
it's
the
an
Oscars.
Oscars. So if we
We
give
won a
you a
Grammy
high,
there.
if we give you a high, then we will we'll send you a ball gown, and you'll get a trophy from us of like a flame or something. So no one's gonna get a high, pretty much, unless we absolutely will sit there and can watch it.
And you can defend it to anyone.
We
Right.
can watch it 3 times in a row in one sitting.
And not be tired of it. Yeah,
That's right.
That's more of a high. A medium that was a well done movie, and I enjoyed it. So just randomly, let's just talk about. I didn't even plan on this, but let's just talk about what we feel about movies we haven't seen yet. What do we think about movies we haven't seen yet? The number one movie I would say that I'm thinking about is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I am scared to watch the movie because I'm scared to ruin my good image of the old movies, and I grew up on Ninja Turtles. And I didn't hear too many great things about it. Heard a lot of slander. Michael Bay, he gets slaughtered for everything he does.
That's true.
Even if he gave you a masterpiece, you'll slaughter Michael Bay because he's Michael Bay. And he didn't even, I don't even know the director's name, but he kind of assisted with the movie.
Right.
He wasn't like the main director of the movie, but still he gets the heat for everything because of his Transformers and all of that stuff. So what do you think? What are you expecting when you eventually do see this movie? Do you expect anything, or?
Well, it's hard these days when you see a lot of reboots. I think the reboots that are coming out these days typically have been better, so there is a lot of excitement around it, especially when you start looking at things and saying, okay, well, how can we make this better? How can we not? How can we still keep the old feel and excitement of the series and yet bring it to new life? Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was a franchise that actually started as a comic book, and so I'm really interested in that, and I really like that idea of bringing it, up to date, new speed. There's a lot of things that can be done with Teenage Mutant Ninjas today, just based on the CG effects and the computer skills. But at the same time, I'm very scared of it because of the bad reviews. Not that stopped me before, because
Because sometimes people are they go with the crowd and they say what the person said next to them in the theater, and they don't really have their own opinion. So sometimes you do need to go watch the movie on your own.
Oh yeah, and there's haters. Haters gonna hate. That's what they do. And
some people were just raised to hate.
Yeah, and the thing is that they just look at something and they'll tell you everything that's wrong with it, but then when you tell them, well, it's come up with something better, they can't do that either. But Teenage Mutant Ninja as a series, I'm definitely interested in seeing how it plays out. But it is worrisome because just from the previews that I've seen, it hasn't been dynamic. It hasn't been, like with all the movies these days, 75% of the cool stuff is in the trailer you've seen already, and when you see the movie itself, the rest of the pieces...
I saw that in the trailer.
And it puts you to sleep because it's not worth
Coming this fall.
That's a great way to get an off score from the pot right there, because you put everything in the trailer, you've seen it already before, nothing's cooking when you get in the theater.
Yeah, that's why I try to avoid trailers. After I saw the first trailer, I try to be like, that's enough. The first trailer is the best way to go, because after that, they just start feeding you the whole plot and the whole storyline from that.
That's right, they do.
But this is unavoidable. The best movie in theaters now, Guardians of the Galaxy. Still number 1. Ninja Turtles got a number 1 spot for 1 week only. And then Guardians of the Galaxy took their spot back. I love the song. I love the songs in the movie. This is from the soundtrack. The whole movie was awesome. John didn't see it. I'm not gonna get into spoilers, but I'm hooked on a feeling. There's nothing else to say. I would like to go see it again. That's the only movie this whole year that I feel like is worth a second watch. So, what do you do? Are you excited about it, or how do you feel about Guardians of the Galaxy?
Honestly, I just feel like Guardians of the Galaxy is something that Marvel is kind of tagged in when they said, "Oh, we made all this money with Avengers. Let's see what other 5-team specialties we can come up with,
Let's see what else
we can jump on and we can make more money on." And same reason why DC is coming out with Justice League, because let's like get all these people together, throw it on screen, and we'll just make a ton of money. And that's what's going to happen. You know, they'll make another $1 billion
once.
that Avengers did. It's pretty much it's pretty much the sequel thing all over again. Just change the characters up. And it's just like a team of these people getting together, and that's it. And, you know, I'm kind of getting tired of it. Even if it is a good movie, I don't know. It is very tiresome these days how it's unoriginal. You know, if you want to come out with a different thing, come out with a different thing. If you want to come out with a different thing, same thing, just call it Avengers, different faces, you know, different people. And that's how I feel about it. I feel like it's weak. And I think they can do better. A lot of the characters that they have. And you know, the thing is, this whole thing came out, what we're viewing now in years with all these people, actually is a renaissance of what the comic books went through in the 70s in terms of when Justice League came out.
They're just repackaging things that real comic book fans would know already.
Right, and comic book fans are like, hey, you know, like this, you know, we don't really like this, or we really like that, and, you know, this character is the same thing as that. I've heard they're redoing a lot of these superheroes that comic book people are already like, hey, you know, like this is played out, we don't want to see it anymore, and they ran 15 comic books about it, and then it just dissolved. Well,
That's fair to say. That's fair to say that you're jaded with comic book movies.
Yeah.
It's easy to fall into that when they just spew them out. We need to make another Spider-Man movie.
Right.
It's just like, you couldn't wait 5 years.
Yeah.
You couldn't. It was that prioritized that you couldn't go look for another character to put on the big screen. That's why the Spider-Man movies keep doing less and less, because people are just tired of the same character over and over and over again. But I think Guardians of the Galaxy was a gamble, because no one knows who the Guardians of the Galaxy is if you're not a comic book head.
That's true.
I found out what they were after I heard, oh, Guardians of the Galaxy is going to be made into a movie. That's when I did my research, and then I found out about who Star-Lord is and who Groot is. Maybe like a year ago I did my research on who they are, and I thought that just built the anticipation up for me, because I never heard of them before that, and it's a fresh breeze for me, because I know who Captain America is. I know who Thor is. You know, like, this movie is like, unlike the Avengers, they all had their movies before that. This movie is like 4 new characters that you never actually met before in a movie.
That's true. And
so that's what, to me, gave it a new, fresh look. Maybe, especially Captain America is like the driest Marvel character of all time, because he was made in the time when just being an American is cool, and he's still that guy, and it goes with the Avengers. But I never thought the Avengers was like the greatest movie ever. A lot of my friends think that. They're like, Avengers, oh, you're not gonna like it, Captain America's in it, or like, that's their logic, that certain characters being in it makes it great. But that, to me, doesn't make a great movie.
But then again, to be fair, Captain America in the comics is a very deep character. He's not a very one-dimensional character. It goes into the actual effect of Captain America being, like you said, from an old-time American and having to converge with the new dynamic of how America is today, and not only of how America is today, the ethics and the morals of what is right today, the things that go on, the spying, the double spying, the triple spying, and all the undertones of the FBI and CIA today, and all the inter-country relations and stuff. So there is a deep part of that, but you're right. And I absolutely agree that Guardians of the Galaxy could be a great movie. I haven't seen it myself. It's just that for me, my bias is that I picked up 5 episodes of the comic books when I was young, read it, and I just kind of threw it on the floor and I was like, forgot about it. Of Guardians. And I was just like, this isn't for me.
Okay.
It was kind of like just a rehash of a lot of the old things just mashed together. But there's tons of ones that that were around before in that area when it came out were just like superhero mishmash, and we'll probably see that superhero mishmash type thing again.
You'll eventually see the Guardians with the Avengers.
Right.
I think they'll do that with Avengers 3. I'd say that it'll line up. The stars will align by then.
Well, and if they don't do it in theaters, they'll definitely do it in animated crossover.
Oh, I actually saw a clip, like a cartoon clip of the Avengers meeting the Guardians.
Okay.
That's why I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. If they can play that out in the theaters. But either way, I'm going to give Guardians of the Galaxy a high. Yes, people. I gave it the highest rating we have on Stovetop Studios. Stovetop Movie Review. I found the movie awesome. I wanted to watch it again. I just didn't get a chance to watch it again. I loved it. And they said in the commercials, best Marvel movie ever. And I was like, okay, let me see it first. I agree. It's the best Marvel movie ever, including Spider-Man, including X-Men, including all of those films. I'd say Guardians of the Galaxy is the best. I don't think it's better than The Dark Knight Rises or The Dark Knight. I mean, it's not close. It's good. It's just, to me, I have a soft spot for those movies.
So you could watch Guardians of the Galaxy in 3D?
I saw it in 3D, yeah.
And then you could go out, you could take a piss, come back in,
and watch
it in IMAX?
Yeah.
And then come back and come back in, get something to eat, come back in.
Yeah, and then when it comes out on Blu-ray 3D, I'm going to watch it in Spanish with my mom or something. Just a reason to spend time with her and watch the movie, 2 birds with 1 stone. Because I did that with The Dark Knight Rises, and she loved it. And to mention that, like, the voices were really awesome in Spanish. You would think that they're, like, hokey. Like, when you hear it in another language, like, but it was actually, it sounded like DC put the money out to actually get some guys to, and the Bane voice, they had the effects and everything.
Really?
So they did a pretty good job with the Spanish Dark Knight Rises movie. So if you're a Hispanic and you want to watch the Dark Knight Rises, try the Spanish version. It's pretty good. No complaints. I haven't seen the Dark Knight with the Joker in Spanish, but I'm assuming it's just as good. I don't know how Heath Ledger's voice will sound in Spanish, but hey, give it a gamble. So let's just get to the nitty gritty of the show. You guys know the ranking system already, right? I've said it enough times. Off, low, medium, high. We gave each other some assignments. The homework, let's say it's called. The homework of the month. We're going to do this monthly. What was the movie that you gave me, John?
The movie that I gave you, since we're doing Robin Williams tribute.
This is a tribute to Robin Williams,
of course, which is a great actor, and he's a funny comedian, and he's just all around a good guy. He's left a legacy of films and a legacy of just inspiration to the people around him. And one of the films that inspired me the most when I was young was Dead Poets Society.
Dead Poets Society was my homework for the month, people. I was born 1988. That movie came out 1989. So I usually have a good rule with try to watch movies that are in your time or at least around your time. But since we're doing this show, I gotta expand my horizons and I have to watch things I'm not used to watching. So I'm just gonna jump into it. Robin Williams is a teacher in a super snotty, stuck-up school for boys. And he's the funny, charismatic, does impressions teacher. And he's there to inspire everybody. It gives them a good kick in the ass. Captain, my captain. I think the movie was good. I appreciated... I was saying this to you the other day that maybe 10 years ago I wouldn't have appreciated this movie. I would have maybe seen it and be like, nah, it's okay.
Why do you think that is?
I think it's because I have a different appreciation of things than I used to, as far as language and as far as plot, plot in movies and stuff.
I see.
And what I can say is a complaint for me, which is a petty complaint, is that the jokes are very dated. Robin Williams doing jokes, and that I didn't get any of the jokes, and even if I got the impression he was doing, it wasn't funny to me because I didn't grow up in the time when it was funny. So it was kind of like, okay, I know you're supposed to be funny right now, but I enjoyed more of the serious side of the movie, more of the get to the point of it.
I see.
I love the camaraderie of everybody, all the kids going to that cave. I forgot the name of it, going to that secret location. And
Right.
the movie was awesome. I'm not going to say the ending. It's a very old movie, even though to spoil it would be kind of like whatever. But it's the ending, I saw it coming for a very long time.
Okay.
Maybe because I've seen so much movies and movies kind of try to follow that movie in comparison.
Right.
But I saw that coming. I saw kind of the ending coming. So, I'm going to give you my rating right now. Drum roll. I'm giving Dead Poet Society, starring Robin Williams, a low.
Wow. A low.
The reason I give this movie a low is because I like I said, the jokes were dated, and also I saw the ending coming. I hate that. I hate to know, like, it was just when is it gonna happen? Is the feeling I don't like. It's like it would have been better to me if they threw me off at the end. But hey, maybe it's just because of the time I saw it. Maybe if I saw it when I was supposed to watch it, maybe I would get a different reaction. But I don't imagine myself watching this too many times. Like, I feel like that's a movie very set in the time. Like, it was probably, like, a lot of the stuff they said, like the poetry, it was awesome. Like, all of the bonding they did, and all of the kids trying to push themselves to be different and move to a different drum. It's cool. I like the middle more than anything. Because I feel like the middle was, when the kids were starting to feel like more comfortable being who they are, and this kid started acting. I forgot the name of the kid in the movie, but that seemed like maybe Robin Williams was gonna get his ass kicked for inspiring all these kids to just be themselves, and that school's the opposite. They want you to conform to just be what everyone else is.
So when did you figure out the end?
I feel like, I guess just to spoil it, when the actor, I forgot the name of the kid that wanted to be an actor, when his dad was very like, no, the dad is the dad from that 70s show.
That's Red.
Red. So that's what engaged me a little more. That's Red.
Right.
Like, he's always been like the tough dad in the house. He's the dad's dad of the neighborhood.
That's right.
So I very much enjoyed it, but just by the scope of what we're rating, I wouldn't give it a medium, just because I have another show that I did, Stovetop, but it was a music review, and I've regretted always giving something a higher rating than it really was, because I rewatched it a couple times, and then I'm just like,
So when did you say that you figured it out? You
like
said,
when the dad were having issues, and his dad wasn't letting him do anything.
Oh,
I
so-
felt like I kind of saw that. Not to pick on, like race or anything, but it always feels like when a white privileged boy doesn't get what he wants in life, he just kills himself.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. I'm sorry, I try to hold that in the whole time. But come on, man. I was 1 year old when this movie came out.
Yeah,
Sorry to tell you.
It's kind of way past its spoiled event. I have to disagree with that rating. I actually give it a medium,
Okay.
and I give it a medium because of the fact that for the age in which it's targeted, which is high school, early college people, it is a coming-of-age movie. And coming-of-age movies are hard to do well. A lot of people try to do them. it's done over and over again through the generations. Obviously, every
I can
few
see
years,
what you're saying.
they do have a coming of age movie where it teaches you what the important parts of growing up are, and being in that restrictive school is actually a microcosm. You kind of hit on that. It's a microcosm of what the world is about conformity, about being your own person, and about in the case of suicide, which is interesting because Robin Williams actually committed suicide himself.
And that's a little eerie and weird that was a part of what happened.
Right.
And then a lot of his movies showed that pain he had, and we always thought, hey, he's just an amazing actor, but he kind of had that pain in him that whole time.
Oh yeah.
So that's kind of weird, and I see what you're talking about, but just my heart of hearts. Personally, I'm not going to say that it's a medium just because I know it's supposed to be. Like if I had to say, oh, what do you think it's supposed to be rated? I would say a medium. But I just feel like, I guess because that's why I always suggest, watch a movie in its time. Because I feel like that may have moved a generation, because it was, a lot of movies are right place, right time. And that goes for a music also.
Right.
You drop a song maybe in 2007, that'll be great, but if you wait 2 years, it's not going to do the same impact. So I think maybe that's what brought my rating down to a low. So mine is a low, his is a medium. So I'm sure you've watched it more than I have throughout the years.
I'm sure I have.
So I've only watched it once. So
I've watched it a number of times, and I've also recommended it a number of times. That's why I will give it a medium. Onto my movie.
Let me introduce it. Robin Williams is a weirdo that works in a photocopy gallery, which doesn't exist anymore, really. But let's get back into the speaking like this voice. And he's the creepiest man alive, stalking a beautiful family and being weird about it, because he has nothing to live for other than stalking this family. What do you think about the movie? Before you rate it, what do you think, just generally, what do you think, and then give it the rating?
Sure, and the title of the movie is 1 Hour Photo.
1 Hour Photo.
Which was made in 2002, and so it is definitely, like you alluded to, they don't exist anymore. The photo shops themselves, well, it's not really a photo hut. When I read about it, I thought it was one of those kiosks where they just do photos, but it's actually within a like a Walmart type store.
Yeah, like a superstore.
Within a superstore, and they still do photos. You come in with your disc and you still do them. So there is still exposure to those type of people with intimate things, and the movie itself is a good premise. It is a good script. And I personally think that it would make a better book than it would a movie because of the type of things that it brought up. It brought up the idea that photographs are something that are very personal, and when you share them with other people, whether you realize it or not, you're letting them into your home and into your family. And that is true, that photographs are the... there's one key line in the movie itself that says that photographs are part of... You actually freeze time with a photograph. But you know what someone looks like, someone feels like, just by looking at a picture of them in that one moment. So it's actually something that's very important. So the dialogue in there was one of the better parts of the movie. The acting was good. It was hard to really have Robin Williams be a comedian and portray the part that he was kind of a stalker, which is what he was. He in the movie itself, he had known this family for 10 years.
He was their go-to photo guy.
That's right.
Like he was very friendly with them, and the family just thinks he's just a photo guy.
Right.
They don't think much of it.
Right. And it was hard to believe that he was someone that creepy. He kind of acted the creepy without being over the top, and that's one of the key elements of being an actor, is to not
overdo it,
not to be over the top with it.
Yeah.
And to really show a lot more emotion with your face than your body and what you're saying. And I think that's what Robin Williams lacked in the seriousness of it. And maybe because he was younger in this, or I'm not exactly sure why, but it didn't come off as he was entirely believable as this crazy person that wanted to be around them, even though it set up situations where he could be. They had dramatic music, they had situations where he's staring longingly at pictures, staring longingly at family. So everything was set up well in terms of the actual directing and the set itself, but he was still not as believable as a crazy person.
So it didn't really trigger what it triggered for me, because when I saw the movie, I was like, maybe because I grew up in the older, like a later years of Robin Williams, more serious roles. Because I actually see him in that way more than as a comedian. Because he did his comedian stuff early on in the 80s.
That's right.
So it's kind of hard, just like Jim Carrey. It's hard to take him serious. Like when he does a serious role, or even Adam Sandler, it's hard to take these guys serious. Because they made you laugh so many times. I found it great. So, drum roll. What do you rate the movie? Off, low, medium, or high?
I give 1 hour photo.
1 hour photo.
1 hour photo. A low for
Ooh.
good writing, good directing, poor portrayals, shallow characters, and just overall a sense that I wouldn't recommend this movie. It was an hour and a half long, and I wouldn't recommend this movie to other people just to see like it's a movie you have to see.
Okay.
But it's not one of the worst movies I've seen.
Fair enough. Well, that's pretty much all the reviews that we have. But is there any, just to bring it all together, your homework was 1 hour photo, and you gave it a low. My homework from you was Dead Poet Society. Rest in peace, Robin Williams. We both gave the movies a low. So maybe we're both giving each other movies that don't fit to what we would like. I don't know. Maybe it was just a coincidence, or...
But what do you rate 1 hour photo?
1 hour photo? I honestly, I didn't think about it to that extent. But just off the top of my head, I would say a low. But
Okay, so
I haven't watched it again, and it's been years. So it would be unfair for me to rate something that I have a bad memory of.
I see.
So I can't really officially say that that's the rating. Because I remember very much enjoying it and being creeped out. Especially when he was watching the kid in soccer practice, giving him a toy. That was creepy as hell. And that's creepy people freak me out more than anything.
But it's, again, everything was kind of laid out the proper way, and it seemed like it was okay. But just the scenes themselves weren't believable to me, and they have to be believable. But just transitioning to other actors like that have transitioned themselves from the comedian role, Adam Sandler has done some movies that are serious, and he's believable as the character. Jim Carrey has done some movies that are serious, and he's believable as the character. The other person that I think has transitioned himself, and people wouldn't call him a good actor, but he's no longer this way, is Will Smith. He's no longer the comedian, the Fresh Prince. He's transitioned himself to a serious actor and now an action star, and you don't see him as a funny man in terms of that, that lanky kid on TV any longer. So it does play. Robin Williams is a character that you can see him in, definitely see him in serious roles, but for some reason, from the way I always see him and the way that it's viewed to me, I don't see him entirely absorbing the new roles as much as I see him absorbing the comedic roles that he does.
That's a very fair answer. That's gonna wrap up the rating part, but I just want to end on, let's just talk about what movies are you expecting to watch maybe in the next year, or is there anything that caught your eye, any news that's, hey, that's cool, that's pretty awesome. I have something, but I want to let you go first. Is there anything that's a future role that was cast that you're excited about or you're not excited about?
Well, I'm definitely excited about growing up in the era where without internet. I'm excited about all the things Star Wars related.
Star Wars
So-
Episode 7.
Episode 7, so I'm definitely interested in that. And even though I kind of bash Guardians of the Galaxy, I'm still interested in the other Marvel movies that are going to come out in the next year.
Yeah, because it's not gonna. It may not be great, a Marvel movie, but you know it's gonna be at least good to at least enjoy once.
Exactly.
So that you can bet on. If you had to bet on, hey, what am I gonna enjoy if I had to put money down on it? You know, a Marvel movie is fair to assume that you'll enjoy yourself. Because there's not one Marvel movie that I saw and just like, oh, it sucks. It's more like, it was okay. It wasn't like epic. But I never say a Marvel movie sucks.
Oh, I disagree.
Oh yeah, you have one?
X-Men 1, 2, and 3 are terrible Marvel movies. Terrible.
I agree with you just because I never found X-Men to be that interesting. I grew up, like, my friends always loved X-Men. I never was into that craze of X-Men. But I didn't enjoy the movies. I don't know if I was just being biased because I just didn't like it originally. But I hear that also, that the movies and Days of Future Past was pretty good.
Those new ones are definitely better because Bryan Singer took his hands off of it.
And they kind of went and they did some, like, they went in the past and they changed things and they recasted people, they brought some people back. So they kind of kept all the good stuff and got rid of crap.
Right.
So I enjoy it. What I found out yesterday that's pretty interesting news. DC is gonna cast Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson in a movie.
Black Adam.
Black Adam. And I was surprised because they were gonna put him as the good guy. What is it? Shazam, right?
Right.
Shazam is
Captain
the
Marvel.
good guy. Captain Marvel, but I think they call him Shazam now, right? Because
They're-
of like rights or.
I think
Marvel
so.
or
I'm not.
something?
I'm not sure exactly.
But
what
either
it is.
way, me being a wrestling fan, I get it because The Rock, when he first blew up, he was the villain and he was the cocky jerk that just, you know, raised his eyebrow and just told the fans they suck and all that. So I can see that, but The Rock's recent movie career, it's all been I'm the good guy hero. That's why I guess it can go either way for me because The Rock used to be good at playing the villain, but it's been like 10 years since he played a villain in anything. So who knows how that's going to turn out. He definitely has the build for it. He definitely has the attitude for it, but is he going to pull off being believable as someone you hate? Because people love The Rock. That's what I'm worried about. Like when you cast someone to be a villain, you don't want him to be loved because that's going to ruin kind of, you want to hate, they want you to hate the villain.
And these are the things that we don't like about actors sometimes. Is it going to be The Rock in a cape flying around? And that's the aspect of it that we don't want because it's like, you know, you're basically cutting out the character and putting him in different scenes that you're playing through. So is it just going to be Black Adam or is it going to be The Rock? So that'll be interesting to play out. The other thing that I, not necessarily movie related, but it will probably trickle down to the movies, is that Marvel is going to kill off Wolverine.
Oh, wow.
Wolverine is going to die in some fashion.
They're going to kill off Wolverine?
They're going to kill off Wolverine. And probably because Hugh Jackman is getting too old now to do
You
it.
mean in the movies?
Well, in the comic books.
In the comic books?
In the comic books. So eventually they'll probably write it out where he dies in the movies too. So
because he is kind of like the favorite character in the X-Men. Like if you took a poll on what character is your favorite character in the X-Men, I'm pretty sure Wolverine would win that.
I have to agree with that.
I personally like Magneto because I'm always rooting for the villain or someone that's just a little more complicated than the I am Superman, you know, like I love everything. I love everything.
You don't like the one-dimensional good characters.
Yeah, no one's that one-dimensional. So I kind of like Magneto, but I don't think there's anything else really this whole year that I'm looking forward to. Is there anything that? Dumb and Dumber 2 I want to watch just for the sake of it's continuing the first movie, but keep your expectations very low. This is 20 years after Jim Carrey was in his prime, so understand that you're not watching. You're not gonna go bust your guts watching this movie. You may get a laugh or two, but I'm more invested in. Hey, I've watched Dumb and Dumber a million times. I'm invested in going to watch this because it's Dumb and Dumber. What do you think? What do you expect about that, or anything else coming out this year?
I loved Dumb and Dumber when I was young. And again, just reflecting on Dumb and Dumber, and we were talking about this before. All the best things are in the previews, and it just seems like a lot of the comedy movies that have come out in the last 15 years, the best lines are in the previews, and it's not really. You don't really have the depth of comedy. They don't build it up well. It's.
I definitely
boring.
agree with that.
Well, I feel like
Dumb and Dumber is gonna be like that again. No, I want to be surprised, and I want to definitely feel like it. I'm gonna be disappointed.
Well, and I don't think there's any other movie this year that I'm looking forward to be honest, in the theaters at least. There's nothing that I'm just like, can't wait for that. There's really nothing.
Well, Hunger Games is coming
Hunger
out
Games,
this year.
To be honest, I haven't seen any of the Hunger Games because I'm more of a binge watcher. I'd rather just wait till they accumulate a little. I'm watching back to back because of what? I gotta wait 2 years now to watch the continuation. Like I waited to the last season to watch Breaking Bad, and then I was just, on my toes waiting for the last season. But there's nothing else, really, if you could think of anything else. There's nothing else this whole year that's like, I think all the movies we wanted to see are...
The last part of The Hobbit, the Battle
Hobbit,
of Five
Armies. Yeah, a lot of people are very... Maybe because I saw it too young, but I saw I saw all 3 of the Lord of the Rings in the theaters, and I fell asleep in 2 of them. Because I was too young, or I couldn't embrace the storyline. It's just a lot of walking and rocks, huge mountains of rocks, and just maybe I need to rewatch them again now that I have a different mind state.
You definitely do. Lord of the Rings is definitely one of my favorite trilogies. If I were to give a hot rating to anything just off the cuff, it would definitely have to be Lord of the Rings, the trilogies, all 3. Another thing that's coming out in to Robin Williams is
isn't that his last movie?
One of the last movies.
One of his
Secret
last.
of the Tomb. He
Okay.
made 5 movies within the last
I never
year.
saw any of those because that's not geared toward my. But just because he's gone, I may watch it now because it's like, whoa, Robin Williams is there. So
That's true. And moving forward, Age of Ultron is coming out next year.
yeah, that's next year. That's what I'm saying. Age of Ultron for sure. Ultron himself, than I am about the Avengers because we know, like, to me, everyone's kind of been overdone.
That's right.
Like, I don't want to see a 3rd Thor movie. I don't want to see a 4th Iron Man movie. I don't want to see a 3rd Captain America movie. I think they already established enough to be like, just keep making movies together because you already set the path for it. Maybe that's why DC's is going to play it smart and not overdo everyone needing their own film. So hopefully that works out. But Age of Ultron for sure, I'm more interested in Ultron himself. Like I said, I'm always going for the bad guys. But come on, that Ultron, just the concept of Ultron, awesome.
it is, but it's also very Brainiac-like too. So it is a me
That's
too.
been something that's been accused many times, that Marvel just takes what DC did, put a twist on it, and repackage it.
But hey, I enjoy the movie itself. They can just take my money for all it's worth, as long as I'm entertained for a good 2 hours.
We gotta come up with an entertaining name for you. I was thinking Popcorn John. I don't know. I don't know. We gotta come up with like a gimmick name for you because people are gonna see you in the street. You're gonna become a celebrity, putting your glasses on. Oh no.
That's true.
People can't really know your real name, so maybe we'll come up with something. Well, this is Mr. Caldero from Watch the Podcast YouTube. Not to confuse you, it's Watch the POT Cast. Not pod, but pot. Just to make things clear for you.
And I'll be right here watching the pot for you guys. I'm John.
And Mr. Caldero signing off, and I'll see you next month. Thank you, and see ya.